Hello, a lovely morning to you today on the program VOG, Voice of Good News. My name is OSENI Shephered and I'm your host on this platform. Alright, on today we'll be talking about a topic which I title The Fall of Great Men, Why Great Men Fall. And our text will be taken from 2 Samuel 1-5. It was actually telling us about the story of David when he came out from his house, went to the roof of his house, and he met a woman who was bathing. I'm talking about Bathsheba. Now, that scenario was actually trying to explain to us why great men fall, the fall of David. Most Christians of this generation have critical spirit. They tend to ridicule a man when the man falls. They tend to speak against him. They tend to bring him down. Don't mock great men when they fall. When God lifts you up to that certain level that they've gotten to, and you are still able to maintain sanity, you are still able to maintain yourself, then you can speak. We are made to understand that David actually met Bathsheba, took her in, and slept with her. One of the reasons why great men fall is because they forget where they are coming from. This is David. Back then, when David was coming up at the age of 17, David fought a bear, a lion. He fought a bear, killed the bear. But when he got to a particular stage of his life, he forgot where he was coming from. This is David that could go out for war, fight battles, but because he has gotten to a certain level of his life, he forgot about those things that happened to him at the past. One of the reasons why most people of this generation who has gotten to a peak, who has gotten to the apex and zenith of life, one of the reasons why they fall is that they forget how they started. This is you. Back then you could pray 2 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours, just for God to amplify you, for God to give you a voice. But now, God has made you a voice. God has made people know you more better. You're not charging them. God has placed you on a certain level of life. You're not telling them to pay before they can meet you. The church itself is not a marketplace where people go there to make money. This is you. You could cry out in your room, oh God, just give me this. If you give me this, I will do this. If you give me this, Now most times when God's not giving us some certain things, it is because of what He has seen. If He gives this to you, there is every possibility, every tendency that you mess up with it after a certain period of time. So most time it is best to pray for God to mature you before He gives it to you. This is David that could fight for a bear. David could fight for a bear, could fight for an animal, but the time has come for him as a king to fight for his people. He sat in his house and forgot how he started. He forgot how he was anointed. He forgot how it all began with him. That is one of the most reasons why most great men fail. One of the reasons why most great men of our generation tends to fall. Number 2 reason why most great men fall. Study the life of David. One of the second reasons why most great men fall when they allow the little forces of life overrule them. They allow the little forces of life to get over them. This is David. David was able to overcome Goliath. David was able to overcome the bear, was able to overcome the animals, but he could not overcome a woman. He was not able to overcome a lady. Now, if you check, the woman and the lady and the animal, who was more stronger? It was the animal, but he was able to fight the animal. And the little one, which was just a lady whom he could avoid, he wasn't able to avoid her. Goliath was not avoidable, but the lady was avoidable. He should have just shut the door and walk away. But Goliath, you have to what? Kill Goliath before you get to the next level. But he succeeded with Goliath and fell for the lady. When I saw this, when I read this, I cried. When I read this, I cried. The reason why most people have failed in our generation is because they allow the little temptations of life weigh them down. You see a 5-star general who should be receiving the salute of a general, who should be welcomed from the airport by great people. But because of a lady of 20, 22 years, he messed up his life. We live in a generation where people, Christianity, the word Christians no longer know their mates. Immorality has taken their mental reasoning. You see a girl of 20, 22, 23, 24. She's dating a man of 40, 50, and she's calling the man baby. Foolishly, the man is responding, yes, my love, your granddaughter is calling you baby, and you are not irritated. You are not angered about it. We live in a very modic society where people no longer know their mates. To the guys out there, if you check out some certain things you do, if the way you treat that girl today, someone treats your sister like that, would you be happy? Would you be happy about it? That you are whipping and flogging every lady that comes your way doesn't make you a man. That you have beards, your bars are high, doesn't make you a man. He goat, she goat has beards also. That you have big voices doesn't make you a man. Gorillas has big voices. The most important thing is how well do you do your responsibility. Check out the reason why David fell. He fell because he allowed the little temptations of life to capture him. He fell because he allowed the little forces of life to get his attention. I noticed something, that Bathsheba was a trap. Bathsheba was a trap to bring David down. Now look at it. Now Bathsheba, all throughout the years she has been with her husband, she never had a child. But just the one time she met with David, she got pregnant. That is to show you something. Sometimes you may be messing up, and you feel you are getting off it. You are actually escaping it. But there is a particular sin you will commit. There's a particular mistake you make that will ridicule your name forever. If you look at the life of David, you understand that the thing David did was actually what. Now, when God cursed David, the curse fell upon his second, fourth generation. He said, "For that which you have done, mother will not leave your house." Why did God say mother will not leave his house? Now, David, I believe it was as a result of that thing he did. Now, when he found out that the lady he is now pregnant for him, he killed the husband in what front? Slept with her, killed the husband, and God said, "For this, mother will not leave the house. Rape will not leave the house." He gave birth to children. Ammon, his son, slept with his sister. That is rape. Absalom, his first son, also did what? Committed murder, slept with his father's wife. That is murder. The sins of the father before the children. That's the reason why most great men fail. If a great man must stand in this generation, then he or she must be able to take the story of David as an example to make corrections for himself. We should let us allow the story of people to give us correction. Now, about 3 reasons why most great men fail. Great men fail when they allow pride to overrule them. Pride to overrule them. Great men fail when they now feel that wealth has taken over everything. Now they've made it in life. Now they feel that there's no way they can't go back to the little way they used to live. That is the reason why great men fail. This is David. When the time comes for war, for battle, he comes out to fight. During the time of Goliath, he was out there to fight. But now, the time has come for him to fight. He sat in his house and let his men go and fight for him. He doesn't really care if they succeed or not. But back then, when he was coming up, he would definitely always go out for war. This is you. You could pray so hard then for God to give you something. You could pray so hard, but God has given to you now. When last did you spend 2 hours with him? When last did you even spend an hour with him? This is the reason why most times God chooses to delay some blessings. We may be praying and say our enemies are against us. It may not literally be enemies. It may be God trying to say, if I give you this, I will lose you and lose what I gave to you. So I need to correct something about you before I give it to you. That is why He's not giving it to you. Another reason why great men also fall. Great men fall also when they now despise those under them. They despise those under them. Look at Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah. Uriah was very humble, very submissive to David. Because David felt he was the king. He was authoritative. He was high. He despised him. I believe when he was about to sleep with Bathsheba, Bathsheba said, "I am the wife of your servant." He said, "No, forget about him. He's my servant. He's my boy." He took her in. He made a mistake. He despised the young man. Can I tell you the truth? There are some certain people in your life you should be very careful of. Because one mess up you do with them can ridicule your life forever. One little mistake you have with them can terminate your future forever. If God shows you what you are missing as a reason of what you are doing, you will regret it. If God shows you what you are missing as a reason of what you are doing now, you would wish you have never done them before. I cried when I saw this. I wept. If God showed you all the things you have missed because of these certain things, you would weep. If God shows you where He's taking you to, but you are delaying yourself because of some certain things, you would come back in anger. You would come back in anger. These are the reasons why most great men fail. Take a look at the life of David. Take a look at your life. With the few examples you've gotten, just match them with your life and see if it doesn't tarry. This is you as a woman. Because of one little thing someone does to you, rather, because of the little mistakes the person did, you've not even spoken to her for years, rather for weeks, for months. You start keeping that deep, intense, chronic, corrosive malice. Why? That is one of the reasons why great men fail. Settle it up. Settle it in your spirit. Settle it in your heart. If you will stand as a great man, then you must follow the lives of those who lived in the Bible. Take out a few times. Just say, God, help me. I don't want to fail. I don't want to fail. I don't want to fail. I don't want to be used as an example, but let people see my life and wish to be like me. I don't want to be a reason why people not like to correct themselves. No. I don't want to fail and people start using my failure to correct themselves. No. Let my success bring correction to people. Let my success bring correction to people. From the example that I gave to you, great men fail when they forget where you have come from. Never you forget where you are coming from. Never you forget how you started. Never you forget how it used to be for you. You may not be where you want to be, but you are not where you used to be. Great men fall when they allow pride to overrule them. That God has blessed you and placed you on a certain level, on a certain standard in life, doesn't mean you should treat people anyhow. Remember, God will bring down the pride and lift up the humble. Those proud ones are the enemies of God. Great men also fall when they allow the little forces of life to overrule them. They fall when they allow the little temptations of life take over their attention. The story of David is a very clear example for you to know. When you allow the little temptations of life to overrule you, he would have been able to avoid Bathsheba. He would have been able to avoid that generational curse. He would have been able to avoid that little thing he did that placed him in a very big mess. He would have been able to avoid it if he had just turned his eyes against Bathsheba. This is a man that could defeat Goliath, bring him down, mighty Goliath, but just one little lady. He messed up. He messed up. From these examples, just check them out and make some little corrections. That is why this word is coming to you. Just check them out and make some corrections for your life. Make some corrections, because you never can tell. It is just one mistake that can ridicule a man. One mistake can bring a man down totally. Correct these mistakes. Correct these mistakes. You bow your head and say, Father, help me. I don't want to fail. I don't want to fall like David. I don't want to miss that which you brought for me. I don't want to miss that which you are planning to give to me. The story of David brought a problem in his family. The story of David brought a problem in the life of his children. Do not let my lifestyle bring problem to my unborn children. Do not let my lifestyle bring problem to my family. In Jesus' name, Amen. Same time, same station next week. OSENI Shepherd remains my name. Remember, no matter what the matter is, you will always matter when it matters most. So long.